everyone, welcome to Miranda Pitrone Art. I was asked to make a slower step-by-step version of this little guy and showing the Happy Dotting Company tools along with the markers. So this is what we ended up with after this mini canvas was complete. So I'm going to take you on the little journey to start this guy off. Alright, here we go. Alright, so I'm starting off with a mini canvas here, and I'm going to test out some more of the Happy Dotting Company tools. This is going to be for our Clover. And I'm using bright green from Deco Art Americana line. We're just going to put two larger dots here. This canvas is about 3 inches, so I went for about a 2 3/4 inch, 2.5 inch diameter circle in the center to start off the design. And so I just wanted to see if we can drag out the paint using these tools and do a couple different things, because sometimes you don't want to buy 500 different tools, you just want to have something that's versatile. So you can see that the Deco Art paint is pretty fluid. And I'm pressing down a little hard, so it is dragging it a little too much. So if you go a little lighter, it will move the paint around where you want it to go. And these are kind of like little decorative hearts that we're making that will be part of our 4-leaf clover. So I'm just doing the 2 larger dots at the edge of the circle here, kind of leaving that pie piece bottom open for now, because we're going to drag from the top or outside of each circle down to that point in the center. And I'm not worrying too much about the tails in the center, just because I want to put a center dot here after the fact. See, they don't quite grab quite enough paint. Maybe one of the pointier tools, because I think this one still has a tiny flat bottom on it, but we can just add a little bit more paint to wick it down here. And see, I'm really just pressing down, get that dot a little bit larger than the actual tool size, and make sure that it forms a perfect circle here off the tool. You know, a lot of people say don't touch your canvas with the tools, but I've always done it that way and not had a problem. But it may be a paint consistency thing as well. If you're using thicker, the heavy body acrylics, like something out of the foil tubes, that will be a little more challenging to create a circle with. So you kind of want your paint to be a little more fluid. Alright, so I'm just grabbing on here to do the last section of our 4-leaf clover. And these canvases you can buy at Walmart. They're magnetic little stretched canvas. Walmart, Amazon has them. And then a little sneak hack, if you can't find them there, if you have a Dollar Tree, I just go to the dollar store sometimes and they have these mini canvases with sayings, and I just paint it over black. So it's kind of an upcycle for me if you don't like the saying or whatever. See, this one's a little pointier. I might have been able to use that to drag out the paint a little easier. So I'm still going with the bright green, and I'm going to drag out the tail of the clover here, the stem of the clover. That does drag a lot better, as you can see. And you can still grab kind of a little bit extra paint to help it along. If it doesn't pull out as far as you want it to go, I just kind of want it up there a little bit further. So there are also these rounded stylus, the ball end. And it's not at an angle, it is straight, but I am holding it at an angle still, so you're still kind of able to use it with seeing where you're putting placement. Just hold it like a pencil. It doesn't have to come down perpendicular, and it will still make lovely dots here. And this is the bluegrass green from Deco Art. So this guy is a little bit larger, so I'm going to try it for the larger circle, and these work pretty well like the acrylic rods. So So they have a little bit of a curvature in them, so it helps get that bubble of paint too if you're looking for a more 3D effect on your dots. It does pick up a bit more paint to keep that in the center. So this is a smaller one that we can walk the dots along the outside. And I'm actually just going to steal from that larger dot that we put down, so I don't have to keep going back and forth to the palette. You can see the entire canvas is moving. I'm actually pressing down, hitting the canvas to the point where it's moving, so I'm pushing down fairly firm. A lot of times, depending on the tools, it just takes a little bit of practice and learning the technique and working with what kind of paints you have. So don't give up. Don't give up if these are the ones that you've purchased. I see some people saying that they were a little frustrated, but just keep trying it. They obviously can work out if you just try it a little bit and check your fluidity and consistency of your paint. As it were, you know, the first one pulling out the paint with the larger size one didn't work as well as drawing the stem, so it just takes a little bit of experimentation and practice. So this is bright copper color from Deco Art. And I'm just walking extra rings around, 2 rings around each of these larger ones, dots. These mini canvases too are such a great idea for gift giving, or just even for teachers. They can put it in cubicles of offices, you know. I just put it up for having a nice little pop of color. I have a friend that has a magnetic whiteboard in her office, and she has some of my magnets up on her whiteboard, which I think is pretty cool. Again, just take your time. The paint will run off the tool and you will get gradually smaller dots. If you want it to stay larger longer, just do like I did and grab a little bit more as you're going through. Okay, we're going to do a couple more little dots off to the side here with that bluegrass green, just to kind of fill in that space here. Whoops. That was my paint, not the tool. I have another paint in the well with this one that kind of had a chunk in it, so. So these are the Artex markers that I recently obtained, and I am enjoying trying these out. It is a little bit like a brush, aside from not loading it with your own paint. So it does take a little bit of going slower and patience, but they give pretty good coverage and they dry really quick. And as in my review I did of these, I varnished them and there was not a single smudge or smear or bleeding of the paint. I'm actually kind of excited about that. There has not been a lot of paint pens that do that. And this is really my first time using ones that are a brush on the end, to be honest. So it took a little bit of practice and seeing what you could get from it, but I found it quite enjoyable. Okay, so now I'm switching to the white marker that they have in this set, just to kind of play with some of the shapes, little teardrop shapes you can get, and see the opacity of this. White generally has an issue with covering in my experience. It is drying a little bit lighter. You can see a little bit of the black behind it. Going for a center dot here, just to connect all those points of our clover. And now I'm just going to highlight now that the Clover is dry, because I wanted to see how well these actually paint over other acrylic paint and see if that makes a difference at all. We'll highlight each one of these little outer leaves as well. You can see I'm just doing it really slow because I'm not used to the control needed for these, but they are pretty fun. So let's do a different design at the bottom here. Oops. Some kind of little rounded thing here. I'm just saying if you go a little slower, if more paint will come down onto the canvas a little bit. And I have a feeling it's going to be one of the ones where you just have to go over it a couple of times. But I have to say these dry very quickly, so that's not a problem time-wise. As far as having to go work on something else, it dried pretty quick so that I could just put more white over it. Let's add a couple onto the side, I think, too, just to flare it out to the edge of the canvas here. And see, I just put those down and I'm already able to go back over it with another coat because it dried just enough. Okay, now I want to see how well this point works with doing tiny, oh, perfect, little tiny micro dots here. I think that's the benefit too of one of the benefits of a brush pen is that it's a little more versatile than just the regular paint markers. You know, the tip, sometimes they have a chisel tip and sometimes it's just a flat tip, the nibs. Tuck a little in here for highlight. I just like to take a look at it to see if I need something else, and I'm feeling like this white is too bright, so I'm going to bring that copper down into this corner. And this smaller ball stylus actually makes very decent swipes, so if you get a decent amount on your tool, start at the top and then slowly just drag it out, so you'll get some cute swipes here. Just like that. So this is what it looked like varnished. It's got the nice shine to the high gloss, and they did not smear. I'm actually really excited that these markers didn't smear at all. It didn't bleed, it didn't run. I did it on wood also, and you can see the shine here. I varnished right over it, and not long after, probably only an hour or so after, so they were very dry. I didn't have to wait overnight either. And here is the tools that I used and the paints that I used for this project, along with the completed mini canvas. I really hope you all enjoyed doing this fun little St. Patrick's Day Clover with me. And you can use a lot of the techniques from this for other mandalas, obviously. I hope that I get to see you all in the future again. Let me know what you thought of this video in the comments. I'd love to hear from you and see how everyone's doing. Alright, have a great day. Happy painting!